web.concept.com as the URL for doing the web app thing, for using the web application. Presently, we are in a beta phase. That means we are daily basis, we are upgrading this application. We are making changes into it. So there might be few bugs part of it, which would be getting fixed as and when we notice it, and the release would be coming very, very fast. So we have nearly added around 10 plus products into it. Few are still left. So as the products are developed, it would be updated and the application will soon turn from beta to live. But it's an open one, so everyone can use it. So it does have the free and pro access part of it, which is similar to your mobile application. So a pro user, you can use web as well as the application. You have the access to both of them. And for the free, all the tools which are free are available to see. So now let's see on the built up part. The first and the most important thing comes up is the built up, the security wise. How are the securities positioning their trade? So whether the traders are taking the long trade, short trade, whether we are seeing basically a unwinding or a covering. So if you look at the Nifty, on yesterday's session, we saw Nifty was up marginally 0.35%, which where the price is 9236, and the open interest increase was 0.73. So it was a marginal long which we saw in the yesterday's session. Whereas on the Bank Nifty front, it was a short which was getting built up. So the price came down by 1%, while the open interest was increased by 6.5%. So this showed that there was a short built up. So basically, the very starting point of the derivative is to understand how the build-ups are happening in the underlying. So when you're taking an option trade, ignoring the future doesn't make sense. So everything in derivative is co-integrated. They are related to each other. And so whenever you're taking a trade, always keep the broader picture in perspective. So it's very, very important to know how the build-ups are spanning out. So you get the index-wise build-ups and you also get the individual stock-wise build-up. Okay. So we saw that yesterday the highest build-up was seen in SBI Life, followed by the Z and Hindustan Unilever. You can sort it by price change, or you can sort it by open interest. So each and every tab you can sort it out. So if you want to see where the highest OI increase is there, you can do by the OI. If you want to see where the price-wise momentum was there and there was a OI, do by the price, see how the OI and price were there. So focus should never be just like I have heard someone go and buy a call option. I've heard someone that today the market is falling up, so let me sell anything. Market might be, if you know, you are seeing very much stock specific activity. So it's not like if the Nifty is up means all the 50 stocks of Nifty would be up. Similarly, if the Bank Nifty is down, it doesn't mean that all the banking stocks are down. So whenever you are taking a trade, doing an top-down approach gives a better reward to risk. Understand how the trades are happening in the sector, then boil down to like which are the trades which are showing strength in that particular sector. So automatically you are always with the winners. So your probability of winning also increases. Okay. So this was the one of the oldest product built up, but believe me, ignoring this will never ever give us an edge. So keeping the built up is very important. Second most important point to look at is what is the market status, like how the market is divided, whether the market is more towards the long or more towards the short. So when I say more towards the long, that means like out of like 156, 157 stock, how many are on the long side and how many are on the short side. If we see something like this, which is like a nearly equal distribution, that shows that market is range bound. We don't see a gungo rally coming up, neither there is a shorts which are being created heavily. So having a look on this market structure during the day also is very, very important. To take if you have taken 5 positions long, and if you see that the market by 3 o'clock is like majorly is on the short side, or you see basically it was more a short covering, then it is not the serious trade which has been taking place. So we need to do our trade management keeping this also in perspective. And if in the morning, maybe like by 9:45, you see that almost 70% of the trades are on the long side. That means the strength is on the long side. Then taking a short trade will not give us that much money for the day compared to the earlier one. So always keep the market structure in perspective while taking any trade. So this was on the built up, the first instrument wise we have. Then we do have the cycle. So cycle is a pro feature. So basically, as we have been trading throughout day in and day out, so I can talk from the derivative research analyst person who have been trading the market. So one thing which comes up is like visuals are more attractive than the numbers. So if something comes up in a colorful format, it stays in our mind forever, right? So the cycle, the thought process for us for the cycle was the same thing. The habit which we had it, we wanted to show up. So cycle is basically showing you like day on day basis how the build-ups are taking place in any instrument. So when I say any instrument, you have all the symbols out on the left hand side. You have the days which are on the upper side. So you see that it's 8th May, 7th May, 6th May, so and so forth. Okay. Green stands for long, blue stands for long unwinding, red stands for short, and yellow stands for short covering. Okay. So at one glance, maybe if I have to scan the entire market, I need to find out, say for today, which are the stocks which are seeing the longs. Okay. So I'll just see wherever the green are there. Ashok Leyland was there, Bata was there, Biocon was there, Cadila was there, Colgate was there. Then we had Grasim. Then we had ICICI Bank, ICICI Pru. So basically, we see that how the colors are showing us what the trades is. Okay. Now you see whether you are continuously seeing how you are seeing, whether you are seeing more of green, more of red, more of yellow, or more of blue. So if I want to do, what is the beauty of this product is like you can scan out from the past days. So if I say in the past 60 days, I'm looking out for the reading of longs where there is more than say 40 trades. Okay. So basically you see SBI Life was a new introduction, so I will ignore that part, but not much we are seeing it. Okay. So if I say again, in the last 60 period, if I want to see the stocks which are on the short side with a count of more than 40, none is there. Maybe I'll just reduce my look back period. I say that in the last 30 days. So these are the trading days and these are not the calendar days. So the last 30 days, if I want to see where there is 15 on the short side and I apply, I can see the top 5 stocks where the shorts are getting accumulated. So those are like Tata Motors, then we have IndusInd Bank, BPCL. So we know that where the internal shorts are getting created. Okay. So this was on the cycle side. Now I will show you from the sector side also. So for that, I will share it from my mobile application. So I hope everyone can see my mobile application. So now, if I go to built up, in mobile we have given two main tabs. One is the script and the sector. The script you have okay, you get the symbol, you get the cycle, and you get the future OIH. So which are the similar. So we have just repositioned it because we have got the sector also now. So it has got repositioned it. So if you look here, we have the same similar data. Okay, future OIH. So now we'll go to the sector. Okay, so basic crux of the sector analysis is to do the top-down approach. Now we are scanning and reading how the sector is performing, and then we can pick up the stocks within the sector to know which are the trades on the long side or on the short side. So for any given day, we get the built up scenario of all the sectors. So there are the sectors where these sectors have been defined based on the composition which are there in the derivative. So it is not the sector specified by the broader index one. So as it is not the cash based index, it is a derivative based index. So all those stocks in that particular sector which are listed in the derivative segment forms the composition of that particular sector. Okay, so I'm making it clear. So it is basically the derivative composition of that sector forms the entire index, and not necessarily we have the general sector composition definition which we have in the indices. Okay, so if you look at in cement, there would be like we have ACC, Ambuja Cement, so those are there. Whereas we don't have it. Then we have FMCG, whatever the composition of the FMCG one would be there. Then we have the Nifty stocks. So if we look at here, the definition is Nifty stocks and not the Nifty. That means this particular change is the entire gist of all the participating Nifty stocks, and it is not of the Nifty index per se. So all the 50 stocks, how the build-ups are taking place in that Nifty 50 stocks, that summarizes this thing in the Nifty index thing. So at times you might see that the Nifty, there is a long, but the Nifty short stocks is showing the long unwinding. Quite possible because the derivative Nifty index is an instrument which has its own built-up structure, while the Nifty stocks is the index made of that 50 stocks of Nifty composition, taking the individual built-ups and summarizing that. Okay. Similarly, we have it for the Bank Nifty stocks also. So now, if I look at on the sector perspective, on the OI front, so OI highest was created in the media. Basically, Z was up on yesterday's session. We saw Z being going higher. Then we had the FMCG one. Again, it was because of the lever. Okay. So you see that there was a long, which was the L stands for the long, S stands for the short, LU for the long unwinding, and SC for the short covering. So the media FMCG were on the long side. Pharma was on the long side. Then we saw shorts getting aggressively created in the PSU banks, auto, banking stocks. So the Bank Nifty stocks means all the Bank Nifty composition stocks are being shown here. Then Nifty saw minor long addition. Okay. Then majorly were on the unwinding or the covering side. So there was a OI shading which we have seen in metals, power, cement, auto ancillary, oil. Okay. So the fresh position was created in media, FMCG, pharma on the long side, while on the short side it was auto, PSU bank, and banking stocks. Similarly, now we can have the cycle of the sector. Similar to what we saw on the script wise, we have it for the sector wise also. Now, if you look at you have all those sectors on the left hand side. You have the build-ups summary shown here. We have given a option of show dates. So that means if you want to see larger picture, if you get used to it. So I would say that daily basis have a look of this particular grid, because it will start, you will start remembering it. So you can see at the larger picture at one go. And want to know the date wise, you can just do the show dates and it will come up. So if I look at here, auto for the last 2 consecutive days, we have been seeing the shorts. So we should not go and be like a contra trader. Let me take a long trade, because if the entire sector is showing the pressure, and if we try to play a contra, that means that stock needs to have an immense potential. One thing, or second, there needs to be something which is different from the rest of the stocks in this sector. If neither of the two things are there, we should avoid it only. So rather than going with the trend is always the best thing. So the top-down approach plays well. Scan the sector which are showing the long built up, short built up, and then you can go to the script and scan the scripts in that sector which are showing that built ups. Clear? So now you have basically, if I will just roughly go through it. So fertilizers were unwinding. Then media, if you see, basically we are not seeing a major short also. So yesterday we had a long built up. Look at PSU banks. PSU bank last 2 days it was a short one. Then pharma is basically alternates. So pharma is also mixed. So it's not completely into the long territory, neither into a short one. So it's a mixed one. So at this one go, you'll get the complete structure. Now, if I have to look at the historical data, so if I click on any of this one, see, I click on PSU banks, you will see the price and OI structure of it. Okay, just a second. Okay, so now if you look at one thing, what comes up in our mind is over from March till date, the open interest in that sector has reduced. So if you look at in March, 9th March, we had OI which was nearly like a 12 CR, and today we have a OI which is around 7.6 CR. Okay, so that means definitely in this downfall, in this gyration, people are hesitate to take a position. Given the condition we are into, definitely these things should come up. So it's not something like the out of the blue. We know what is the market going through, how the things are spreading out in the economy. So one thing is very true, the participation has decreased considerably. Okay, now if I look at here, this price and this open interest is of the entire composition of the PSU band. So the price, it's like a weighted average price of that entire composition of the stocks. Open interest is the cumulative open interest. Okay, so don't think like a PSU bank as an index is not listed in the derivative. How can concept show that PSU bank as an index? So let me clarify it. It is not the index given by the exchange. It is the index which we have created out of the composition of the stocks of that sector which are there in the derivative market, to give us the perspective to know how the sector is panning out individually. Okay, so now if I look at the graph very clearly throughout the app, red means short, green means long, blue means long unwinding, yellow means short covering. So if you look at the graph, so we saw the last 2 days the shorts have been created. Earlier to that, it was basically long unwinding, but the long unwinding saw a good amount of fall in the prices. Okay, that means a serious amount of long unwinding was there. It wasn't a small one. So that becomes very important. has the unwinding or covering impacted the price significantly, and how much has the OI reduced? So this give you at one go how the structure is being presented by the market. So what we are doing is we are taking the information given by the market, evaluating it in a visual basis, and coming up with the information. So now you have OI change, which is basically the absolute basis, the change what we are seeing it. So you have change in OI and you have the price. So it's the actual, what is the difference we are seeing from the yesterday till date, what is the difference you are seeing. So if you see yesterday, we saw the once change in OI is of 45 lakh 9,379. Okay, while the price was 4589. Before that, if we see, the OI change was 8,09,570. So yesterday, a serious amount of shorts were there in the market. We'll just finish this built up part and then we can take a question on built up. So just give me 2 more minutes when I can summarize the built up. Okay. Now, if look at the unwinding was there in between. So this was basically yellow, which we are seeing major one was the expiry. So definitely the position got squared off, and the next month was on the lower base. So overall, this is the structure. Now, if I go and look at any other sector, pharma. This is what the pharma is presenting right now. So last 3 days, we are seeing nearly like an equivalent OI change. So yesterday was on the positive side, long side. Day before was on the short side. But if you look at the price is on the consolidation front. So we are not seeing much of the damage also. And now it's very important that price breaches this point so that any further thrust comes up. If you look at the absolute OI one, so this is how the pharma entire OI structure is. So we saw a considerable fall in the OI, absolute OI since the March to the May. And now prices, as we are seeing right now, the OI is on the rising one. So if this continues, if the structure continues, that we see more of the greens coming up, then definitely the sector could be poised for a upward move. Okay. Now, if I say oil is basically, if you look at the Reliance is the major one, which takes up the entire chart. Okay. So if you look here, basically oil has more of greens and less of red. Okay. So yesterday we saw the short covering. So neither, it's like a no trade as of now. So this way you can do the sector. So span out. Maybe by 9:30, you let it to settle out and then see the sectors which are participating, where we are seeing the OI increase. Go on to the cycle and see whether that particular sector has more of greens or more of red. Then you will come to know. Maybe like in a sector, you don't need to look at the last 20 days, 20 period. You can look at the say last 1 week. It entirely depends upon what is your trading style. Are you an intraday trader? Are you a 2 to 3 days trader? Are you a strategy person who looks up for 15 to 20 days? Then your period should change. For an intraday trader, last 5 period is enough. Maybe for a person who is a strategy person, who's taking a longer view, maybe for them it's very important to know the underlying trend very clearly. So this way you can do the same features which we have in the script wise cycle, the same is there in the sector wise. You can change the look back period. If I 20 period, show the sector which are on the long side for 10. Apply. Oil is the only sector where in the last 20 period, 10 times it is on the long side. Show it on the short side. Apply. No, nothing is there. Maybe if we say long unwinding, nothing is there. Let's do all. So, or maybe if I say in the last 20 period, long and long unwinding. So basically, wherever we see green and blue combined more than 10, these are the sectors. So IT, media, recent history becomes very, very important. So not to look at like a 20 days, what was there, combining it with the today is very important. So if I look at it, recent basis where the green and blue is highlighted. Similarly, for the short covering, that means where we are seeing more of red and yellow compared to green and blue, these are the sectors. So auto comes into the focus area. Then you have FMCG saw the short in the last 4 days. Prior yesterday we did not see much of the short, but if you look at it was more having reds. So that means we need to be careful while playing the pullback. If you are seeing any pullback, we need to be careful in playing it. Okay, so this is sector. Now I can take couple of questions on the sector. Just give me a second. Okay. For intraday player, does the OI data comes real time? Yes. In the application, we have 5 minutes data, 5 minutes snapshot data. So every 5 minutes, entire application, all the tools gets updated. And but you need to be careful, like from 3 to 3:30, what will happen? Like you might see there is a long short thing, but there are certain trades which exchange reports after the 3:30 time. So which is neither in your hand or our hand. So at times you might see that during the day, Bank Nifty was showing a huge open interest of 20%. But in the Bhav copy, when it comes up, it comes down just to 3 to 4%. It's very much possible because markets are volatile. Many executions happen in the last 15 minutes. Exchange doesn't report that thing on the real time basis. There are few trades, custodian trades, like which doesn't come up during the day, that gets reported post the market day. So which gets summarized in the open interest, in the Bhav copy. So whatever exchange gives us, that's presented in the application. How to find the stock composition of shown sector indices created by concept? Yes, can. So if I go to script, okay, when you look at cycle, now select auto, all the auto stocks are there. If I go to Bank Nifty stocks, the banking stocks are there. If I go to IT, the IT stocks are there. Okay. So the compositions of the stocks are there. Please show once again the cumulative OI part since last 250 days. Tanu, tell me whether you want it for the script or the sector. Okay. I won't go by the stock specific, but just taking one case. So if I future OI, if I do say Tata Motors, this is the Tata Motors OI one. Okay, first 10 volume has dropped down to half. Okay, the pro user can look at the historical data since inception. So I'm looking on from the 2014, or you have 2008 data also. So you can have as many look back. So you can do in fact detailed analysis like in 2008 fall, how was the open interest for particular stock, and today when the market is in this scenario, what is the type of open interest which we are seeing it, be it for the Nifty, be it for the Bank Nifty, be it for the individual stock. Okay, so this way you can have the historical one. So the last 2 days we are seeing the short in this stock. There before it was more of green and blue. Okay, so now this is what we get it from the futures data. Okay,